So, this session we are going to study nitrogenous fertilizers in depth. Basically, we are going to study ammonium sulphate, ammonium nitrate, ammonium sulphate double salt, nitrate of lime, calcium cyanamide, urea, and we will summarize whatever we have learned. You will see that most of these nitrogen fertilizers have source as ammonium or nitrate. So, what are the advantages of ammonium or what are the advantages of nitrate and their disadvantages, and how it is developed in the manufacturing process, that we are going to study in detail. So, let us start with ammonium sulphate first. If I ask you how you will synthesize ammonium sulphate, what will be the starting material for ammonium sulphate? You are right, we can bubble ammonia in concentrated or dilute H2SO4 to get ammonium sulphate. So, can you guess the type of this reaction? Yes, this is a neutralization reaction where ammonia is a base, H2SO4 is an acid, they react. So, will it be a cost effective? If I ask you, you may not know, but it is not a cost effective reaction because H2SO4 is a costly reagent and most of the time neutralization reactions are exothermic in nature. But luckily in India, we have lots of calcium sulphate, which is, you can say, economical in making the fertilizers. So, why not to use this gypsum as such to make a fertilizer rather than using H2SO4. So, we can get rid of a costly reagent which is H2SO4 over the calcium sulphate. I would like to make a note that fertilizers need to be economical, so that farmers can afford it and then crops will be much more affordable for all people. Okay. So, in that way, if we start our production with calcium sulphate or manufacturing with calcium sulphate, one of the first difficulty we are going to encounter is it is insoluble in water. Now, we cannot bubble ammonia and try to get ammonium sulphate what we thought initially. So, how to go for it? So, we have to use a different method of preparation of ammonium sulphate, which is nothing but a double decomposition. So, if I have to write a double decomposition reaction, I will write like this. So, you can see that a calcium sulphate is reacted with ammonium carbonate, so as to give you ammonium sulphate and calcium carbonate, which is precipitated out. So, calcium carbonate here is one of the byproduct. It can be used in the cement industry or it can be used as a filler in the fertilizer, as we have seen earlier. Ammonium sulphate is one of the main ingredient or main nitrogen based fertilizer. But in this reaction, of course, we come to know that calcium sulphate gypsum, we have lots of source. What about the ammonium carbonate? Ammonium carbonate can be manufactured quite easily by bubbling ammonia with CO2. But here, since both are gaseous forms, it is very difficult to get ammonium carbonate. So, technologists have developed a novel method which is called as counter current method. In this, you can see that ammonia is dissolved in water in a liquid form, is dropped from the top of the furnace, and CO2 gas is bubbled from the bottom. In this tower, you will see that CO2 gas is going to go up, ammonia is going to come down, and we have given here aluminum surface, so that the gas and the liquid, they are going to interact with each other and then they are going to come down in the form of ammonium carbonate. This process is nothing but a counter current method, where the gases can get absorbed effectively in a liquid. Now, we can manufacture ammonium sulphate. It is a good fertilizer. Let us try to revive its advantages. It gives 21% available N2. N2 means nitrogen. It is a white solid, it is completely water soluble, and we can say that it is one of the main widely used fertilizer today in the world. What are its disadvantages? One of the main disadvantage is sulphate remained as an residue in the soil. Second disadvantage is ammonium itself. Ammonium salt is, although soluble in water, plants are not able to absorb it. If plants are not absorbing directly, the bacteria first converts these ammonium salts into nitrate anion. Then these nitrates are absorbed by the plant or taken up by the plant for its growth. So, I can say that ammonium radical is reacted with the oxygen in the atmosphere and nitrification occurs in presence of bacteria so as to convert ammonium into the nitrate anion. These nitrate anions are then taken quite easily by plant. This makes the ammonium salt absorption slightly a slower action. Immediately you will ask me a question, then why not to use nitrates as a counter anion rather than the sulphate? So, let us try to go for the production of ammonium nitrate. How you will synthesize this? We know that earlier also we have seen that by Haber-Bosch process we can synthesize ammonia, and by Oswald's process we can use HNO3. So, which again uses ammonia. So, in short way you can write ammonia plus HNO3, again it is a acid base neutralization reaction where you are going to get ammonium nitrate as a final product. The advantages of ammonium nitrate is 35% available nitrogen, one of the highest inorganic fertilizer having maximum nitrogen concentration. Since it is having a nitrate anion, is immediate absorption by the plant. It has disadvantage in that it is deliquescent. Deliquescent means it is going to absorb moisture. Once it absorbs moisture, it is going to form a cake, and this cake is very difficult to handle. Difficult to handle for farmers because farmers cannot spread it over the crops. Second main disadvantage of ammonium nitrate is its explosive nature. Higher the nitrogen content, higher the explosive nature. Third, it makes soil too much acidic. How? So, ammonium nitrate plus water gives you ammonium hydroxide plus HNO3. This gives you residue which is acidic in nature. So, what will be the intelligent solution for this? Mix ammonium nitrate with some kind of filler such as calcium carbonate. Now, when you mix calcium carbonate with ammonium nitrate, it not only removing deliquescent property of ammonium nitrate, but it is actually reducing its explosive nature also and acidity level also for the soil. This is called as nitro chalk. It has slight less percentage of nitrogen, so about 16% of nitrogen. Next fertilizer, which is ammonium sulphate, ammonium nitrate. We have just seen that there are some disadvantages of ammonium sulphate, there are some disadvantages of ammonium nitrate. One of the main disadvantage of ammonium nitrate is its explosive nature and deliquescency. So, why not to use ammonium sulphate itself as an additive and use this double salt as a better fertilizer. So, this double salt gives about 26% of available nitrogen. It is water soluble, it is less deliquescent, it is less explosive, and nitrate is readily available because you have one nitrate anion, you have ammonium. So, you are depending upon the bacteria as well as you have free nitrate. So, it is one of the win-win kind of fertilizer where you are going to get a property from the nitrate as well as from the ammonium, and this is one of the standard fertilizer used in the sugarcane industry. So, we talked mainly about the ammonium fertilizers. Now, let us go to the other anions or other cations. So, let us start with the calcium nitrate. Calcium nitrate is manufactured using a reaction of calcium carbonate plus HNO3 so as to give you calcium nitrate plus H2O. In other words, you can say that a dilute nitric acid can be neutralized by calcium carbonate so as to give you a calcium nitrate as a salt. Advantages of this is that it gives you about 13 to 17% available nitrogen. It is highly deliquescent, therefore it packed in the waterproof bags and then only stored. Water solubility, and it has both acidic as well as basic part. Therefore, no harmful residue is left in the soil. It is also called as nitrate of lime. We will move on to the another part of the fertilizer, which is calcium cyanamide. This is one of the fertilizer where it is manufactured from a byproduct. Byproduct means energy sources where coke is used and lime is also used. One of the standard byproduct is calcium carbide. This calcium carbide can be used as a source for acetylene or can be used as a starting material for a fertilizer. So, calcium carbide when reacts with the nitrogen at higher temperature, you can get calcium cyanamide plus some energy released and carbon formation. This calcium cyanamide, which is produced from a byproducts, is also one of the best fertilizers. It gives about 20 to 35% of available nitrogen. Disadvantages of this are it is dusty and unpleasant to handle because of its particle size. Its particle size is too small. It is difficult to dissolve evenly in soil. Cannot be used for soil which is too wet and too dry. What will be the solution? If particle size is small, you can coalesce them by adding oil and by maybe adding a limestone, then make a cake, powder it and then use as a fertilizer. That is how calcium cyanamide is used as a fertilizer. Now, we are going to one of the main fertilizer, which is urea. Urea, as you know, that is first synthetic organic molecule from inorganic source. We have studied from our school days, is done by the Wohler synthesis. It's most widely used synthetic organic fertilizer. It's a complete water soluble. It gives 46% available nitrogen. It has zero residues in soil. All inorganic fertilizers which we have seen earlier gives normally some residues in a soil in the form of sulphate or calcium or ammonium, but urea do not give any residue. It is non-corrosive to equipments. Again, many of the inorganic salts leach to give acid, and because of that the equipments used in the farmlands gets corroded, but urea in that way is a non-corrosive to most of the equipments. One of the main drawback, it's slightly costly. But why it is costly? For that we have to see how it is manufactured. So, it is manufactured in two steps. The first step is a reaction of liquid ammonia plus liquid CO2 to give you ammonium carbamate. You can see that CO2 is just getting inserted into the two ammonia and there is a disintegration of two hydrogen molecules. The second reaction where you have removal of water is happening from ammonium carbamate. So, although this reaction looks very simple because just the ammonia and CO2, so as to give you ammonium carbamate and removal of water, you are going to get the urea. But both reactions, if you see carefully, those are reversible in nature. Normally in industry, reversible reactions do not give high yields. Also, if you see carefully both the reactions, you will see if you apply Le-Chatelier's principle, then the reaction 1 will go in the forward direction only when the pressure is high, because there are two reactants and one product. If you consider equation 2, you have one reactant, two products. So, for reaction to go into the forward direction, we have to release the pressure. So, the first reactions require high pressure, second reactions require slow pressure. That makes manufacturing of urea a challenging method, and therefore, it is a costly fertilizer. So, in short, I can say that you can also make similar kinds of graphs or charts so as to summarize what you understood from the fertilizer work. So, here you can see the central of fertilizer, nitrogen fertilizer is ammonia. Ammonia, you react with the H2SO4, you get ammonium sulphate. You react with HNO3, you get ammonium nitrate. You insert CO2, you get urea. You insert CO2 along with the water, you get ammonium carbonate. Ammonium carbonate, you do a double decomposition so as to get the ammonium sulphate and calcium carbonate. I guess this chart gives you a summary of most of the nitrogen fertilizers. You can make a similar way, you can add important points how these fertilizers are useful, advantages or disadvantages. So, in summary, I can say that ammonium sulphate, ammonium nitrate, ammonium nitrate, ammonium sulphate are the nitrogen based fertilizers where nitrogen is in the form of nitrate or ammonium salt. There are two more nitrogen sources. One is of calcium nitrate where our counter cation is a calcium, not the standard one which we have employed as ammonium. Then calcium cyanamide, which is again manufactured from a byproduct, so it is a economical fertilizer, and urea, one of the first synthetic organic compound. So, urea is synthesized in a reversible reaction which was a challenging, therefore, it is economically slightly higher in cost. So, with this we come to an end for nitrogenous fertilizers.